Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. This time we will be talking about free-to-play budget Sky Striker. Now, I've been playing this deck for a while, and I made some slight upgrades to the extra deck. So please don't consider all of these extra deck monsters, but definitely the main deck. This is still definitely free to play. As you can see, I barely have any hand traps. I got another droplets, which I got from a pack. I did not craft this, but whatever it is, like, this is still free to play. I can show you proof if you want that. I spent 0 gems. I've been playing for a few months, so that's why I was able to, for example, craft IP Masquerena. I got Nightmare Unicorn from a pack, and I crafted Avermax. So these and I crafted Underworld Goddess. These monsters are not necessary for Sky Strikers. They definitely help, but you could plug in more Sky Striker Link monsters or some cheaper, run-of-the-mill Link monsters instead, like Berserker, the Tenyi, or whatever it is that you could free-to-play afford. You don't necessarily need to use these monsters. But to get into the main deck, DD Crow, just a hand trap, very cheap to craft. Sorry. It helps against decks like Tri-Brigade. Wow. Tri-Brigade, and definitely DPE when that was meta. So that's why I still run it. Ash Blossom from the bundle. You need 3 rays to play. You need 3 rays. This is the best normal summon because of her effects. Because of her quick effect, you could tribute this, special summon a Sky Striker Link monster from your extra deck. And while it's in the grave, you also have an effect. So you need 3 of these. Really easy to craft if you don't get it from the pack. And Rose, I run 3 because I'm free to play. I think most of the meta, deck lists run like 1 or 2 of these because they run a lot of hand traps instead. I just like having extra bodies to summon. It's not necessarily the most optimal way to play. I mean, like I said, I'm ID rank into silver, and I climb up to like gold 3. That was the highest I climbed so far with my Charmers / Sky Strikers decks and builds. I haven't really tried to climb with this Sky Striker deck. I would say it's competent in silver, and you will probably struggle in gold with this deck because you need just to explain like how Sky Strikers plays. So you basically end up with one of these 1500k bodies, 1500 damage, 1500 attack bodies, and you basically have to outplay the opponent based on your spell cards, which are like Widow Anchors, Afterburners, Shark Cannons. Just based on what the opponent is doing, you kind of like make your reads, and via like this field spell and the continuous spell mecha modules, you could reuse some of your spell cards and just kind of get like card advantage on the opponent and just try and outplay them that way. But it's basically like mind games with your opponent because you're not really gonna OTK unless they're at like 5500 and you're able to go into access code and going for game that way. But it's really like a grindy kind of game with Sky Strikers. That's why it's kind of hard, but definitely winnable if you have enough tools at your disposal. And to mention the hand traps, basically the hand traps help because it slows down. So for example, if you're going first, you basically go into Shizuku, get an extra Sky Striker card, and you kind of just wait and see what they're doing. And you want hand traps in your hand because you want to slow them down slow the opponent down and prevent them from making a huge board, because you know, Sky Strikers could play, but they can't like take down a 8 negate board. Like, you're not going to win against that. But you can slow them down from making their plays and end up with a weaker board. Then you could dismantle that with, say, like your Kaijus or your Shark Cannons or your Widow Anchors. You know, you could dismantle a weak board, and that's like the strength of Sky Striker. You know, taking down opponents' boards that are not as strong as they could be because you hand trap them to death. So, you know, you got to run your 3 Maxis, your 3 Ash Blossoms, even 3 Effect Veilers or Ghost Ogres. Like, you could fit a ton of hand traps if you take out like 2 Rows, maybe 1 or 2 of the Kaijus, maybe the evenly matched. You run an Imperm here. Maybe the Foolish Barrel or one of the extra Afterburners. Like, you know, you kind of just throw in as many hand traps in here as you can, and you just kind of try and mind game the opponent, you know, and trying to out resource them. So to keep going with the other cards, I got my 3 Kaijus here. I don't play rank without them. They're just too valuable. Distributing away the opponent's monsters. Nibiru, same thing. Against combo decks, too strong. Just way too strong. Some combo decks can play through it, but I still run it anyway. Like, it's just, to see them quit after Nibiru is the best thing ever. Got the free Raigeki, Harpy's Feathers Duster, Monster Reborn, and Reinforcement of the Army. All from solo mode. This, I believe I got from one of those structure decks, I believe. I'm not sure which one, but this is easy to craft. And basically, you know, just to shuffle these back in if they're not banished, just for some more grind power. Foolish Burial Goods to hit the 3 spell quota, which you need on Sky Striker cards. So, for example, let me show you Widow Anchor. If you control no monsters, target an effect monster on the field. It could be your own, but you know, there's no really point to do that. Basically, you want to do this on an opponent's monster. Then, if you have 3 spells in your grave, you can take control of that monster until the end phase. So basically, you take control in main phase 1, you use them to attack or to link off into a stronger monster, and then you know, main phase 2, you get rid of the monster, because then it'll be sent to their grave. Alright, to go from there, we got our 2 Mobilize Engage, which is the best card, this is, you know, the starter card. Add a Sky Striker deck to your hand. If you have 3 or more, you can draw a card. Oh, okay. So that's the feature here. That's a nice additional feature. So Afterburners. Target a face up on the field, destroy it. Then if you have 3 or more, you can destroy a spell. It's a nice tech. I don't know if you really need to run 2. Like I said, you could probably replace one of these with a hand trap. Jamming Waves. You could target a set trap and destroy it. Then you could destroy a monster. People typically don't run this. This is typically not run at all. So you could definitely replace with a hand trap. I just don't. I could probably run Droll, Lock, and Bird, but you know, that screws over Sky Striker just as much as, say, like Flow and Deriz. So that's why I don't run Droll, Lock, and Bird in my Sky Striker deck. But you know, this is not a high priority spell. Vector Blast, you send 2 of your cards to the grave. Then if you sent at least 1 and have 3 spells, you can shuffle all your opponent's. This is really like a low priority too. What's cool about it is you could get rid of really troublesome boss monsters with this card. But low priority. I mean, I don't see many meta deck builds running this. I just run it, as I said, because I'm free to play. Lightning Storm, I believe I got this from a bundle, but I may have crafted it. I definitely crafted this. This is just for consistency. 2 area zones because I typically dump this because basically, you know, Sky Striker cards do not have engrave effects, so I just run an extra copy of this and dump it via Hayate's effect to make sure I have another spell in the grave for, you know, the minimum 3 cards in grave condition for most of these Sky Striker cards, right? Meching Modules is really cool because once per turn you could target another card you control, so you need something else on the field. Send that card to the grave, and then they can't respond to this. And then once per turn during the end phase, you could set Sky Striker spells with different names from your grave, up to the number of spells you use this turn. While this was face up. So I don't know if my replay shows this, but basically, you know, you could search for this, you know, via like Engage or Shizuku, and, you know, play this card, then play a whole bunch of other Sky Striker cards that you need at the time, like Widow Anchor or Shark Cannon. Then they'll be sent to the grave, right? Then at the end phase, you could set them to your spell and trap zones to use on the next opponent's turn or whatever. So that's really cool. It's really, really handy. I run 1, maybe you run 2. If they get rid of this card, you know, on the field, like if you want to run it again, but you know, it doesn't come up that often, but when you get to use it, it's really, really clutch. Hornet Drones, you know, if this was at 3, this Sky Strikers would be broken, but basically it gives you a free body that you could use to link climb. Widow Anchor, we mentioned before, you steal their monster. Eagle Booster, this is not typically played, but what this does is it helps you to keep your monsters alive. So it says that target is unaffected by card effects and it cannot be destroyed by battle. So if you have a link monster and you have enough life points, just say, you know, swing into me and I'll survive until the next turn. So that's basically the point of this card. I mean, you know, low priority. Like, how often will this really come up? Not that often. So you could replace this, Vector Blast, and Jamming Waves probably with 3 more hand traps, to be honest. But as I said, this is free to play budget. Shark Cannon, another really strong card. Doesn't come up as often as Widow Anchor, but you know, if they have a monster in grave that you want to steal, you can, but it can't attack. So you can use it to prevent their graveyard plays or to link climb. So give you some options. Forbidden Droplet, you know, one's from the bundle, one I got from a pack. I mean, you can replace this with anything you want, like Forbidden Chalice, Book of Moon. Same thing with evenly matched. It's nice for going second because I basically play Sky Strikers as a going second build. But like I said, Forbidden Chalice, Book of Moon, it all works. Mystic Space Typhoon, it's all good in this deck because they're spell cards. Infinite Imperm, I got this from the bundle. No reason not to run it. And then Kagari, you know, if you had more, you would run more, but had 1. This gains attack for each spell in your grave. Doesn't really come up that often, but you know, when you summon this late in the match, it really comes in handy. Or if you're able to recycle it, say with Oh no, you can't set it with this. But there was Hercules base, which I'm not running, which you could reset. Let me show you that card. I may even replace one of these with Hercules base, to be honest. One of these unused cards. Probably this one, Jamming Waves. So, activate this card if you control no monsters. You equip monster cannot attack the deck directly. You can make a second attack. If the equipped monster destroys a monster, draw one card. Here we go. If this card is sent from the field to the grave by a card effect, you can target up to 3 Sky Striker cards in your grave except Hercules base, shuffle them into the deck. So, it's a little complicated it's a little too complicated for its own good, but basically the pro here is you could shuffle your Kagari or your Link monsters back into the deck. Sorry. But the problem is activating its effect is kind of tricky. So how can you activate it? Either via this field spell, because basically here we go. You can add 1 Sky Striker card to your hand, also shuffle the rest of the deck. Then, if you excavated a Sky Striker card, send the targeted card to the grave. So, you can send a Sky Striker card from the field spell, or Mecha Modules, right? Here we go. You can target one other card you control and send that to the grave. So, the field spell and Mecha Modules can help to get rid of Hercules base, and that can activate its effect to shuffle Sky Striker cards from the grave into the deck. And that could give you another use out of Kagari and any other Link monster. I mean, they have to be Sky Striker cards. Again, so that's cool. So say you use Kagari turn 1, and you're like, oh no, I used it up, but you bring out Shizuku. Sorry. You search out Hercules base, you activate it, and let's say you already had one of these in hand, or next turn you search one of these, then you activate the field spell or modules while this is on field, and then you discard it, and then you're able to bring Kagari back, and then Kagari can be beefed up to like over 2k, which isn't amazing, but it helps sometimes. Shizuku is like, I should probably run 3 Shizuku, to be honest, because it's just so helpful adding cards from your deck to your hand every turn. To be honest, I just love these big Link 4s and Link 5s. I should probably dump one of these for another Shizuku, to be honest. I would recommend doing that. I'll have to take a look at my extra deck and see which ones I can cut. I want to keep IP. Obviously Unicorn is an easy play with IP. Celine is the way I get into access code. I could keep Abramax, like I said. Appaloosa doesn't really come up that often, so I could probably cut her too, but the moment you cut her is the game you need her. And I'm not cutting Underworld because I hate fighting against Abramax without an out. Because how often are you going to draw Forbidden Droplet? So getting back to the Sky Striker monsters. So like I said, Shizuku draws for you. Always summon this at the end of your turn so you get a free card. And then this can attack directly. And if you are able to damage the opponent, you could send a card to the grave, which you could use to fill up your grave with Stress Striker spells. This card is kind of unique. You can target a face-up monster and it can't attack until the end of your opponent's turn, which is nice. So, if you're afraid of one of their monsters, you could go into Shizuku to activate Shizuku's effect. Then you could go into Kaina to target one of their monsters, stop them from attacking you, and then end your turn. So that's another tech. Zeke. I don't use this that often. I should probably learn more how to use this monster. So you could special summon this once per turn. If it's link summon, you could target a face-up monster and banish it until your opponent's next phase. So, basically they can't use their monster as link material. They can't use it to attack. So it's nice disruption. You could also banish Zeke if you're afraid that you're going to lose it. If you think you could, take the life point damage. Once per turn, you could target another card you control. This card gains 1,000 attack, then send the targeted card to the grave. So this, I guess, is another way you could send a Sky Striker card to the grave. But yeah, like I said, this doesn't come up too often. I guess if you're going for OTK, you could get this on main phase 1, banish their monster, but they have to be targetable, right? So banish their monster, because you're like, I could swing in for game if I get rid of their monster. Then you go into access code or whatever, and maybe you hit, maybe they're at like 5,000 exactly, then you win the game, right? So there you go. I run Dark because it helps to link climb. Unicorn, as I said, goes well with IP. Selene is the way I get into access code. And the spellcaster monster, honestly, we are not running one. So you would need another body to make that happen, unfortunately. There's no like smooth way to make access code. Basically, I should be running an effect veiler, but it's not like you could hard draw that or special summon it without Hulk anymore. But basically, if you have Dark, you could take one of their monsters, you could link climb into Selene, and then you would need an extra body to make access code and go for game. So I guess I haven't played Sky Strikers enough to realize that. Oh, sorry. You use Shark Cannon or Widow Anchor to get the other monster. There you go. So to access code for game, you need either Widow Anchor or Shark Cannon in hand, and able to make Dark Charmer and steal an opponent's monster. You go into Selene. The counters don't really matter because you're not special summoning anything. But then you steal an opponent's monster on field or in grave by a Widow Anchor or Shark Cannon, go into access code, and then you go for a game. So there you go. That means you could probably replace Selene with something else, because it's really not that useful. I guess Crusadia would be a decent one, because then you could OTK that way. But I'm going to leave this as is for now. Let's get into the replays. I only have one replay with Sky Strikers because unfortunately I don't play it that much. I teched in Book of Moon in here. Okay, so just to recap a little bit. And I had maneuvers in here, which, like I said, I rarely use, but it comes in handy once in a while, right? So I have Ray, Rose, Book of Moon, Engage, and reinforcement of the army. It's a pretty good hand for going first. Alright, so oh, sorry. So my reinforcement of the army drew me the ring, right? So I use engage to get the field spell. Normal summon Rose. Bring in Hayate. I put down the Book of Moon. I use Arizone's effect to search for another Sky Striker card. I discard the Book of Moon. I use that to get another card. And I think I'm sitting pretty. But we're going up against what looks like Code Talkers, but it's actually Salamangreat. So this is going to be a grindy game. Salamangreat, like I have to play more Salamangreat. They're just so recursive and like they're never out of the game. Like they could have 2 cards in their hand and they could go right into Axis Code Talker or whatever. They're just so, you know, consistent. So he goes into Sunlight Wolf, gets his field spell, goes into another Sunlight Wolf for that. I guess it's like a draw effect. Yeah. Oh, the recursive effect. Bring back the circle. Then he goes into his 3, which is Soul. It's cool animation. Lets him draw a card for 1,000 life points, and then he sets 2. And he gets rid of my Shizuku. I bring back my array. We got a battle here. So probably one of these is Roar. I forget what the other one was. So I bring back a Sky Striker. I bring back Hayate. Okay. Then I Widow Anchor him. He draws another card. Which is actually smart. And I'm dumb for trying to use his effect again. Especially because Widow Anchor negates their effects. So I was an idiot for doing that. So I lost 1,000 life points for no reason. I swing in. He, you know, like I said, this deck has plays for days. So I need to make sure I include Paro in my Salamangreat deck, right? So he's able to bring that body onto the field. I hit directly for 1,500. I bring out Afterburners and I link into Appaloosa. Probably the first time I use Appaloosa, to be honest. I get rid of his monster and I bring back Itzo, I believe? The Shark Cannon? Yeah. Because I want to draw more cards, you know, why not? So, you know, he doesn't really care. He's just going through his plays again. I'm able to draw a card. He brings out his foul. He Raigekis me. So, like I said, this deck is insane, man. Salamangreat. He's able to go into Link 3 like it's nothing. So he brings his Heatleo in. I don't know what that card really does. Transcendence. Oh, he's able to link climb using a monster from the grave, I guess? Oh no, he just goes into Heatleo again. He's able to swing in. So, kind of stuck here, but you know, I have options. So, I go maneuvers. I want to get rid of this card. Then I go Rose. He has something, you know. He has 2 cards in hand and 1 stolen trap zone, so I gotta be careful, right? Of course. I don't know what this card does, but he has 3 cards in hand now. So I gotta be careful here, right? Like, I don't want to leave him with life points. So... But he has no follow-up, so... That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is free-to-play budget Sky Strikers. Like I said, you could definitely get into gold with this. I think if you want to really climb with it, you need to put in some more hand traps. But you know, the gist of the deck is right there, right? So you just gotta slow the opponent down and just keep coming back at them. Slowly chip away at their life points. And there you have it. There's free-to-play budget Sky Strikers, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.